My name is Dana Whitfield. I'm 33, and I turned that age at my parents' dining room table the same week I learned my own signature had been practiced, page after page, in a folder hidden inside my mother's sideboard. It started with a declined debit card at a gas station. Nothing dramatic. Just a red screen that said insufficient funds on an account that should have had $1,100 in it. I paid cash, sat in my car, and told myself it was probably a bank glitch. It wasn't a glitch. 6 weeks later, I was sitting across from my parents at my own birthday dinner, watching my father check his phone as a call came through from a bank 2 days before it was supposed to. Before I tell you what was on that call, tell me, what time is it where you're watching this from? I have a feeling this one's going to travel. I'm a paralegal at a mid-sized firm in Tulsa, the kind of job where you learn to read documents the way other people read weather, for what's coming, not just what's there. I've been the one who handled things in my family since I was 17. My mother's insurance disputes, my father's small business tax filings, the year my younger brother Todd's landlord threatened eviction, and I quietly covered the gap. My mother, Sandra, had a phrase she used whenever I helped. That's just what family does. I believed it, the way you believe things you've heard since childhood without ever examining them. When I turned 18, my father set up a fireproof lockbox in his study for my important documents, birth certificate, social security card, the CD my grandmother left me. Felt like being cared for. I never once thought to ask for copies of what was inside it. The gas station decline sent me home to check my accounts properly for the first time in years. What I found stopped me cold. A credit card opened in 2019 that I'd never applied for. Balance $6,200, 90 days past due. The billing address wasn't mine. It was my parents' house on Larkspur Lane, the house I grew up in. I called the bank's fraud line the next morning, filed a dispute, and requested every document tied to the account. The application had been submitted using my social security number and an old email address my mother had set up for me in high school, one I hadn't used in a decade. That week, I pulled my full credit reports from all 3 bureaus, not the free monitoring app version, the real ones. It was worse than one card. 4 accounts total going back 6 years. 2 credit cards, a personal loan, and a car loan co-signed in my name for a vehicle I'd never owned. Every single one listed the same mailing address. My childhood bedroom. I built a timeline on a legal pad the way I'd build a case file at work. Date open, balance, status. The first account had opened the same month I moved into my first apartment. Someone had waited for me to leave, then quietly opened a line behind me using the name I'd left in that house. Around the same time my mother started calling more. Always warm, always about small things. Then mid-call one evening she asked almost offhand, "Do you still keep your important papers in that lockbox? Does anyone check on your apartment while you're at work?" She'd never asked either question in 15 years of me living alone. Now she was asking twice in 1 week, sandwiched between talk of my upcoming birthday dinner, the first one she'd planned since I was a teenager. I told her my neighbor, a retired postal worker named Gerald, kept an eye on things. She said dismissively, "That old man." I wrote both questions down on an index card the way I'd flag anomalies in a file. I didn't know the shape of what was coming. I just knew the shape was forming. A hunch sent me to the county recorder's office with $2 and my name. What came back was a general durable power of attorney, granting my parents full authority over my accounts and property, signed and notarized on a date I could prove, with hospital records, that I'd been recovering from surgery 40 minutes away, unable to sign anything. The signature looked like mine. Too much like mine, the kind of signature you get from tracing, not writing. There were 2 witness lines. One I didn't recognize. The second belonged to my brother, Todd. While drying dishes at a Tuesday family dinner, I found a manila folder tucked beneath the good napkins in my mother's china cabinet. Inside, pages of my signature, practiced over and over, the early ones clumsy, the later ones nearly perfect. Beneath the practice sheets, bank statements in my late grandmother's name, showing years of small, steady withdrawals that stopped 4 days before she died. I photographed everything. I said nothing. I closed the cabinet. A call to my credit union revealed something more urgent than history. An active verification request on my condo's title. The kind that happens when someone's underwriting a new loan. A detective in the financial crimes unit confirmed it a week later. And $70,000 home equity loan in my name, using my condo as collateral, scheduled to close and fund 2 days after my birthday dinner. My mother had told me the date herself, wrapped in cake talk, 10 days in advance. Your father has a little bank appointment that Friday. I went to my birthday dinner and smiled through the toast about family being everything I had. I ate the cake. I said nothing about the frozen loan, already dead from the inside, or the affidavit I'd signed naming names. Near the end of dinner, my mother leaned toward my father and murmured, just loud enough since everyone's here, have Todd check on the lockbox at her place. Todd set down his napkin, mentioned a phone call, and left with his keys. He came back 40 minutes later, pale, and didn't finish his sentence to my mother before the room went silent enough that everyone heard it anyway. Police had been waiting at my building. Charges followed: forgery, identity theft, unauthorized use of a power of attorney. Todd cooperated as a witness in exchange for a lesser charge. The loan never funded. My credit was restored account by account over the following months. My mother told the arraignment judge it was a family misunderstanding. The system that had protected her for years finally read her file properly. I froze my own child's credit that same week, once I learned what the pattern usually does next. Reach for the youngest name in the house before anyone's old enough to check. I still get birthday cake from the same bakery every year. My name the only one on the receipt that matters.